Welcome to BizJet TV. My name is Fabrizio Poli and welcome to this episode about Part 91 and Part 135 flight operations. These are two things important for you to understand when you're buying a private jet. These are American terms, but we're also going to explain the terms used around the other parts of the world for these two different sets of rules. Now, BizJet TV just recently has partnered with AvBuyer Magazine. Here we go. Great magazine, great resource for anybody looking at acquiring a private jet. So they also have a YouTube channel, so click on the link below to the AvBuyer YouTube channel. So BizJet TV are featured now in AvBuyer. My first article is being published, and you can click on the link below and be coming out in the actual edition, May edition of 2021 of AvBuyer Magazine. So great resource, lots of information in here about private jets and private jet operations and that. And so I do encourage you to get yourself a copy. So you can click on the link below and you'll find out how to do that. So let's get into the operations today. In the video, we're going to be covering, the different types of regulations, what you can do, what you can't do under Part 91 and Part 135, give you a bit of an idea and hopefully give you the information that you need. But you can always reach out to me for a one-to-one consultation, and you will see my email scrolling below the video as we move along here. So let's get straight into today's episode about Part 191, Part 91 and Part 135. Off we go. So Part 91 and Part 135, they are American terms or FAA terms. Basically, in a nutshell, if you operate your aircraft under Part 91, means it's operated privately, while if it's operated under Part 135 rules, it means it's on an air operator certificate, which allows you to charter your airplane out to third party when you're not using it. And some people like to go down that route. Now, Part 91 offers you more flexibility than Part 135. Just to give you some examples, if you're operating according to Part 135 rules or on an air operator certificate, the maintenance requirements are a bit more stringent, so you have more maintenance events. So obviously the costs will be a little bit higher, and also the pilot training has to be done in a certain way, pilot selection, then there's drug testing and alcohol testing for the pilots. You also will require 40% more runway. There are some benefits fuel-wise. You'll probably get cheaper fuel if you are operating under 135 compared to Part 91. So basically the Part 91 offers you more flexibility than 135. The NTSB, which is National Transport Safety Board, recently just looked at accidents, seeing that there's more accidents happening under Part 91 than Part 135, and that's because people are taking advantage of the less complicated regulatory environment, and they're pushing the boundaries, which I think is very, very dangerous. I mean, if we take, for example, an accident that happened in Hawaii in 2019, which is one of the reasons that took the NTSB to then say, we need safety management systems aboard aircraft now operating under Part 91. This was a King Air flying out of Makalele Airport in Hawaii. It crashed just after takeoff. 11 people died. And then when they looked at the pilot's training, they discovered that the instructor that had taught the pilot to fly the King Air had a pass rate of 59% amongst his students. And this is really, really poor number. So that should have flagged up. That wouldn't have, the quality of training is really important when you're operating under Part 135. It has to be done in a certain way. Even though there are, companies that operate under AOC that are doing things like training pilots in the airplane instead of the simulator, and all sorts of things like that, which I don't agree with. I think the training needs to happen, very importantly, it needs to happen in the simulator, because in the simulator there's so many things that you can do. Now, interestingly enough, the FAA's instructor handbook says that the goal of a flight instructor is to teach each learner in such a way that he or she will become a competent pilot. So the question is, we need to aim for having to have competent pilots. And so the flight simulator is a great way to train your pilots. So if you are going to operate under Part 91, I would suggest to not cut any corners, because this is why these accidents are happening. So we need to make sure that your budget for pilot training is higher than the minimum requirement, as I've always said. Increase that budget for your pilot training so they can do some extra sessions in the simulator, which allows them to see more scenarios, more types of emergencies and whatever. And what does this actually do? What benefit is there for you, passenger, for you, owner of the aircraft? Now, very often you're sitting in the back there, you don't know what's happening up front. If certain emergencies may happen, you may not even notice. But it's important that the pilots go through certain types of training and look at different scenarios in the simulator, because then when situations do happen, and believe me, airplanes do break down, emergencies do happen on aircraft in flight, on takeoff, landing, all sorts of stuff. Things do go wrong, whether the airplane's new or old, they do happen. And that's why having a well-trained pilot is really, really important. So what the flight simulator will do, it will do two things which are really important. Number one, when the emergency happens, the pilot will recognize the emergency and have the knowledge to deal with the situation in a safe manner. And number two, they will have the confidence to deal with it. So it's not only important to know what to do, but also to have the confidence to be able to handle with the situation. And that's really, really important. So these are two very important elements. So Part 91, Part 135. Part 91 gives you more flexibility. And if you are an aircraft owner and you don't really have the need to charter your airplane out, I'd certainly recommend going down that route. But do not, please, do not go cheap on your pilots on the salary side, and don't go cheap on your pilots on the training side. Because you want to get good people and you want to make sure that they can peak perform at all times, so that when things do go wrong, they will be able to bring the airplane down safely. That's really, really important. And so those are basically the differences between Part 91 and Part 135, or having your aircraft on an AOC or not. If you haven't subscribed to BizJet TV, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Give us a thumbs up, which helps increase the odds of people landing on this channel and increase the popularity of BizJet TV. Also check the AvBuyer Magazine website, lots of videos on there too. We are working together with AvBuyer Magazine now. Also, you can check on the link below my recent article in AvBuyer Magazine. That's also another one I encourage you to do. And subscribe to this channel, as I said, and also comment below. We love to hear your comments and recommendations and suggestions for the future. And check this other video out about pilot training. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And that's all from Fabrizio Poli on BizJet TV, and I'll see you on the next one.